USA Warrior Stories is a not-for-profit organization designed to record, archive, and share videos of veteran stories, to help veterans make a connection with one another and to help us all better understand their sacrifices for our freedoms.
My name is Ken Gamble. I was in the service from 1962 to 1968. I served in Vietnam from 64 to 66. I was an E5 in the Navy, Brownwater Navy. I was a second-class electrician's mate. My duties as electrician started out in 62 after I went to Class A school, and I went to the fleet shortly after A school. Went to San Diego to catch my ship. It wasn't there. It was in Montanoli Shipyards in Oakland, California. We did a shakedown cruise and training in Hawaii for 6 months. That was at the beginning of 64. Later on in 64, we went to Vietnam. We took Marines in, we took Seabees in, we took Army in. I was on an LST. A lot of people, if you ever watched a World War II movie, at like Normandy or what have you, the ships that went in and opened the bow doors and offloaded the troops, that's the ship that I was on. And it was a World War II ship. So it was rough. We started out in Operation Market Time, which was coastal surveillance. We had 9 WPB Coast Guard cutters, 80 foot. The WPBs are 80-foot Coast Guard cutters, and Operation Market Time was coastal surveillance. We were keeping the VC from bringing food, supplies, ammunition, guns, and everything in, because what they were doing was bringing them in, going up the Delta, and stashing this stuff for what was coming. So our job was to keep them from doing this. We went, in 65, we went to Phu Quoc Island. It's a little island. It's considered Vietnam, but it's right off the coast of Cambodia. We were at An Thoi, a little village at Phu Quoc. That's where we waited for the boats, okay? We stayed with the coastal surveillance for about 3 months, maybe, and then we went to Vung Tau, and that's the mouth of the Delta. And then, of course, naturally after that, we were up and down the rivers because we drew a very shallow draft, and was a very slow ship. Our flank speed was probably 11 to 12 knots. Thus, we got the nickname of a long, slow target. LST, long, slow target. But my duty there, before I left, I was senior electrician as an E5 on that ship. My last time going to Nam, I came back. They involuntarily extended me for 4 months because I didn't have a replacement. At the end we got back to San Diego. I had 37 days left, I guess, somewhere around there. And I figured, well, if we stay in port 2 weeks, I won't be going back. Because back then, if you had less than 30 days, you didn't go. Well, it just so happened, we just came to San Diego to get refurbished. We turned right around, was headed back. I had 31 days left, and they made me ride that thing back. And then flew me out of there on a C-130. Got my wife and my son, and we went to we headed home. We got into New Mexico and spent the night there. Got up the next morning and I was broke out all over. I thought, well, they must have washed those sheets in something that I'm allergic to. I didn't think much more about it until about 20 years later, and I'm breaking out again. Same way, only this time it was from my head to my toes. I went to Southern Hills Hospital there in Nashville, and they started running. They said, you're allergic to something. So they started doing tests and all this and all that. They said, well, we can't find it. We can't figure it out. So they gave me a bunch of oatmeal packages. They'd go home and get in a tub with this oatmeal baths. So I did that. About 2 weeks later, it cleared up. Then I come down, and it's a long story. Let's just say I came down and got cancer, okay? I had to go through 46 sessions of radiation, 2.5 years of shots in the stomach. And at this point in time, they say I'm in remission. And I thank God every day for that. Now I know what it was. At the time, I didn't. The Agent Orange was not in my vocabulary, okay? I just thought I had a rash, I was allergic to something, or this or that. But when the cancer hit, I knew something was wrong. Recently, I've come down with neuropathy, and I find it very hard at times to even walk. When I went in for that, I asked the podiatrist, I said, you know, he said it's because of Agent Orange, because I told him I wasn't diabetic, and he said it's definitely because of Agent Orange. You know, I thought it had to be because it was on one of the presumptions for the Agent Orange list, and so I got the Agent Orange physical. That's in the VA system, and he discovered it. And my problem wasn't that my prostate was bad, it was a tumor on the outside of the prostate. They determined if they operated and tried to take the prostate, that tumor may burst. If it did, I was history. Okay? So radiation was the way to go. That's the reason I had 46 sessions of radiation. 5 years later, I ended up back at the VA hospital with internal bleeding. And that's when the guy next to me was eat up. I mean, he's screaming and carrying on, and it's bringing back Vietnam to me. I was having flashbacks. I told the doctor, I said, you got to get me out of here. That's when I began to create the Agent Orange Foundation. I was laying there in that hospital, listening to this guy screaming, and I took a pad and a pencil, and I'm thinking in my mind, we'll never get a Purple Heart, but yet we were wounded. The only difference is our wounds are internal instead of external. And nobody in the federal government recognizes this. So I sketched out an orange heart with Vietnam in the center of it. When I got home from the hospital, went on the computer and perfected it. So I got out here and I started looking for somebody to make this metal for me, to produce it. It took 6 months before anybody would touch it. Once I got it done, I applied for a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization, and that's how the Orange Heart Medal Foundation was formed. Well, went on that first year, I sent out 300 medals. Right now, to date, we're at 8,870 some odd medals sent out. Well, I got a hold of my Tennessee State Representative, Dr. Sabi Kumar. I sat down with him and we drafted a law or a resolution. And he asked me, he said, Ken, what do you want? Do you want a resolution or do you want a law? I said, I want a law. And he said, well, it'll have to be a joint resolution. In other words, it's got to go through the legislature, then it's got to go through the Senate. If it does that, then the governor signs it into law. February 4th of 2019, we put this resolution on the floor. February 24th, our governor signed it into law. It went through super fast. It's all about Agent Orange. It's all about us being wounded with Agent Orange while in service of our country. It's recognition that we never get, we never got, and we still don't get from the federal government. Since then, with the help of a lady in North Carolina, Robin Spence, and the board member, Bobby Tyner, we have 7 states now that has that law in effect. The biggest thing about the law that we put on there is for our recognition, and that's where the medal comes in. The medal recognizes us as being exposed to Agent Orange, and it recognizes us as Vietnam veterans that were exposed or wounded. I'm hesitant to say chemical warfare because the VA says herbicidal warfare. Either way, I mean, you know, I understand that they said that it was to clear the jungle so we could see our enemies. But we were lied to. I mean, over and over and over. This stuff will not harm you. It will not harm the land. It will not harm the water. That's what we were told over and over and over. The statistics there, from my research, there were 2.6 million of us that were exposed. Out of that 2.6 million, in January 2020, there was 600,000 of us left. We are dying at the rate of 547 a day. You can do the math how long we're going to be on this earth. That's why it's so important for us to get this done and get it done now. And that's the reason if we can get all 50 states to go with this, we don't have to worry about the federal government because it'll be state laws throughout. And we're doing this for our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren because this stuff is handed down. I have 2 science researchers at Vanderbilt University is seeing how many generations this dioxin is going. Before COVID hit, they were at the 5th generation for women, the 4th generation for men. All we want is recognition that we were wounded while in service of our country during Vietnam. I said, what I need is for every Vietnam veteran to be recognized and honored for their sacrifices. We've got a website. You can go on that website, fill out a little application, hit submit, and it comes to my computer. Okay? Then I pack up a medal. I read over the application, then I pack up a medal and I mail it to you. And it's free of charge. You've paid for it already, guys. There's no charge to that. I partnered with the Legacy Foundation, which is a funeral home and cemetery, and they have just bukus of cemeteries and funeral homes across the United States. They gave me the property to put a memorial on. They also donated their time and their money to do the foundation for it. And it is one of a kind. For me, there is no completion. until every Vietnam veteran that made it home puts their name on that memorial. We have finished 2 phases of it, and just before I left to come down here, I ordered the 3rd phase. And we're going to keep on until we get as many Vietnam veterans on that memorial that we can get on there. You know, we've got the wall in D.C. with the guys that didn't make it back. We've got the memorial to put their name on for the guys that did make it back. Yeah, God bless the USA. And God bless the Vietnam veterans.
Thank you.